Alright, well, released moments ago was the second in the animated Godzilla trilogy. This one is City on the Edge of Battle. I've got my mascot with me. Special limited edition Fire Breath Godzilla. Oh yeah. So, did it follow up nicely from the first one? Let's find out. Alright, so gotta let everybody know up front, this is gonna be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it yet, fire up your Netflix and check it out. Alright, you're back, so just that we're all on the same page, we pick up kind of at the end of the last one, where the humans have had their butts thoroughly kicked by my main man, the Big G himself. But then the little native sort of humanoid creatures have nursed them back to health, and so they decide to have another whack at the Big G. Pfft, idiots. Alright, we start off with likes, and anytime you're doing a trilogy, the middle, with the exception of Empire Strikes Back, of course, tends to be one of the weakest entries because you have your setup in the initial, your resolution at the end, and then you have to have something to kind of bridge the two. So this one I did like, at least, you know, didn't do a complete throwaway. It was, interestingly enough, they tightened it up a bit from the first one. The first one was really loaded up with some kind of, if you thought about it, didn't make any sense things. Plenty of those still in this, but not nearly as many. And I also like that the there was some expansion, shall we say, in the ideas and concepts of the other two races, the Exif, which are your sort of, you know, religious spiritual type. And then I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, so go off of me in the comment section below if you'd like, but I'm just doing this right after I watched it, so I haven't memorized it yet, but the Bulusalato, butchered. Anyways, they're the Vulcans, the logic people. We got a little expansion of kind of their particular philosophies and mindsets. And I did like that because obviously that was used to set up the finale where the logic people decide that it's time to be completely logical and the spiritual people say, hey, wait a minute, there's kind of an alternate way. It was also used to point out one thing I really did like, and it's an old concept, but we haven't really seen it in the Godzilla movies before, and that's the idea that to defeat a monster, you must become a monster. That was definitely on display there, and I did enjoy that that finally got in there. And then kind of the last thing that I enjoyed, because I was a little concerned, I guess, with the direction that this trilogy was going in, Godzilla fighting humans has never been one of the more interesting or exciting aspects. Shin Godzilla had the probably single greatest Godzilla destroying pesky humans scene. It's always about the monster fights, and we haven't had any up to this point, but I think they pretty much laid the groundwork here. The Junto, however you wish to pronounce it, it's gonna be butchered, I don't care. The little insect human hybrid, whatever the heck they are, clearly with references to the egg and the twins, more than likely they're gonna summon up Mothra, you know, who apparently Godzilla kicked the ass of one time, that's fine. But, more important to me, because he's my favorite, next to the Big G of course, is the Exif head spoke of the monster that destroyed his home world, that was way, way scarier than Godzilla, whispered the name. It's gotta be King Ghidorah. Ghidorah, however you want to pronounce it. My main man, that my tattoo man, of course this is the mecha form, but regardless, it's gonna be, I'm hoping, in part 3, all-out war, with the main cast of characters, the Big G, that pussy Mothra, and my main man, King Ghidorah. Alright, so dislikes, well, the usual dislike, less humans, more Godzilla. I get it, I really do, that's a personal thing. They did a real good job in a lot of the 90s and 2000 Godzilla movies of just giving us what we wanted, which is Godzilla and Godzilla destroying things and Godzilla fighting monsters. You have to have the human element, I get it, that's fine, but they kept it to a minimum, whereas in the last movie, and especially this movie, very little Godzilla. I mean, heck man, he didn't show up till well after the hour mark. Well after the hour mark, and I get it. We had to, again, it's the bridge, but I did not like that. I would have liked to have seen a lot more Godzilla. I also did not like, so there's probably like 4 or 5 scenes in this movie where Godzilla roared. And 2 of them were Godzilla's roar. Third, or the other 2 or 3, is just like a little normal animal sound. I don't care if he's evolved for 20,000 years or whatever else. You gotta have the roar. That's 101, man. You gotta have the roar. I said that they had tightened up the writing, so I did like that aspect. They didn't tighten it up enough. It wasn't nearly as bad as the first one, but in this one, it's like, oh, we're gonna create these flying things called vultures that no one has ever stepped foot in before, but you can instantly fly them perfectly. No problem. Yeah, sure, they were based off a certain particular model, but the aerodynamics are different, everything, just that sort of a thing. The language barrier between the Toho, or whatever they're pronounced, and the humans, not an issue. I at least liked the telepathy. There's always that sort of idea or a concept that whatever concept you project into a brain is translated. Of course, that's complete BS, but, I'll let that slide. But there were certainly times where the little twins seemed to understand English, Japanese, whatever, perfectly well, which is ridiculous. I did not like the sort of convenient, the atmosphere is bad sometimes, but it's good when we need to have the masks off. And then the magic nanoliquid. Gas, solid. It's, it's that sort of, Deus Ex Machina, not on a single level, but on a multiple level, right? Like, we need something that is going to, pierce Godzilla, okay? This metal will do it. Oh, but we also need it to be a gas and diffuse his breath weapon. Okay, no problem. Oh, but we also need it to be a liquid that freezes around his legs. Oh, okay, no problem. It just, it was ridiculous. They could have definitely done something different. They had a Mecha Godzilla, and honestly, why couldn't we get a Mecha Godzilla fight? Like, he's the city, I get that, but this elaborate, it's very, obvious and simple trap they set was also a bit of a disappointment. Like, the city just happened to contain this very long corridor. It just happened to be set up so that there were explosives that would allow them to drop in, and then, all of it. And, the argument can be said, well, they made the city, build itself like that, and it's like, really? It dug out all the dirt, it set up explode. Where did it get the explosion property? Oh, the magic nano stuff could explode as well. I mean, it just, again, as soon as you start to think about it, it just becomes nonsensical. Whereas, honestly, if you had given me, hey, Mechagodzilla is in the city, but he's been evolving around it, and the only parameters he had was to make himself giant robot. It's been building underground, and blah, 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 and now he comes out, and boom, monster fight, and then Godzilla kicks his ass. I would have loved it. That would have been great. But instead we get, this other thing. So, these were not major, huge things, but they were enough dislikes to kind of rub me the wrong way. And the ultimate dislike, and I said it before, not enough Godzilla. Alright, so it is Pinhead time. Now, the last film, I gave 3 Pinheads too. It was kind of, well, it's not great, but it's not horrible. Like I said, there was some actual improvement of this one. We're getting there, but you didn't give me enough of the main man. You didn't give me the main attraction. So, I can only boost you up another half for that. So, for this one, we're going to do 3.5 Pinheads. Alright, I really want my G fans to chime in, right? The last movie, bit divisive. Some people liked it, some people hated it. What do you guys think of this installment? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel.